Are you like us? Tired of all the politically correct horseshit on podcasts and in the media? Need a podcast that's funny, smart, and gassy? It's not politically correct. It's just correct. This is the Carolina Underground. Throw that middle finger in the air. Raise them up. Because it's time to get loud, proud, and in your face. Generation X. Generation X. The best generation of all time meets the grit of the South. It's about everything and nothing at all. From current events to woolly boogers to movies to politics. Loud, brash, funny, and never, and I do mean never, predictable. The Carolina Underground with Mark and Mike.
Yo, 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 yo! It's the Carolina Underground, and we're back again live from the Replica Bat Cave and Sparkleburg.
How you doing this evening, sir?
Ooh, I can't complain. It's a nice Friday evening.
What? Wait a minute. You can't complain. What have you done with Mike? What have you done with my friend? Where is he? Is he safe?
Well, yes. And he cracked open a bottle of Paul Roger early.
Uh-oh. All right.
And surprisingly, the taste of Paul Roger goes well with the three-peckered Billy Goat coffee.
All right. Well, that's good to know.
A lot of things have been going on in the world.
Oh, my goodness. Have there not been a bunch of things going on?
They are. And, we had the State of the Union last night.
Oh, Lord.
Well, I got my commentary on it.
All right.
All right.
Hit me, boss.
It was a cluster. End of story. Short show. Y'all have a good night.
Well,
and we gone.
And we gone. Bye-bye. No, what else would you even begin to expect from that doddering old dipshit? Right.
Well, I will say this. I don't even watch them when it's a president that I think has mental acuity.
No, you don't even watch them when we have a president.
Right. But saying. I logged in because I don't have like TV. I don't really do TV much, but I only watch one show, and we're going to find that treasure this year come hell or high water, let me tell you.
Well, I think they probably found it like 20 minutes into season 1, and the rest of this stuff is just to keep people.
No, I think the real treasure is the TV show.
Well, no, that's absolutely right. I made that comment. Many years ago, right after Gold Rush, back when Gold Rush was huge and everybody was watching that. I never got
into that one though.
Well, I thought it was kind of interesting because I'm a hardware geek, okay, and I love to look at processes and stuff like that. Well, one of the things that a lot of people don't know is that prior to the gold deposits being found in California, do you know which two states were the top gold producers in the United States?
One of them was North Carolina.
North and South Carolina. Do you know why they stopped being the top gold producers in the United States?
Because we got greedy and didn't want to share that crap.
No, because in the Carolinas, okay, so what they found out.
Well, in Carolina, I probably say it's probably harder to mine from here.
It is. It's what it is out there on the left coast. They discovered what they call placer deposits, which is what happens when the runoff from the water erodes all of the stuff that surrounds the gold, and so you wind up with just little chunks. And
well, where you walk along and it's on like around the river banks and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, it gets stuck in the oxbows and stuff.
That's a kind of a short, it's a small world because where the replica bat cave is.
Basically, but why don't you go ahead and elaborate?
Okay, well, the the land.
Well, as much as you want to.
Well, the land that joins and is me across the street. There is a creek, a pretty good sized creek that runs back there. And if you cross over that creek and go up into the old road beds, there is actually one of those old gold mines back up in there on those hills.
Well, yeah, and Gold Hill is not too terribly far away. But at any rate, so the end result
anyway,
is,
the logging into the State of the Union, all I heard was Charlie Brown's teacher, and I said, you know what? I'd rather get drunk and listen to two cats have sex.
Well, so, but to finish up the thought that I had, so the thing in the Carolinas, the gold is still primarily, in silver too, is primarily locked into quartz still.
Oh.
And so you have to use a thing called a Cumberland hammer, which is basically looks kind of like it kind of looks like a whole bunch of hammers that are driven, by a crank. And they slam onto the gold and smash the rocks up so that you can get the gold out of it. And that's a that's a more expensive process than scooping it up out of the ground and sifting out the dirt that surrounds it.
Well, they get to pocket more money doing it the other way.
Yeah. Well, in theory, somebody does. Not you and me. But anyway,
I wouldn't want it any. Like, gold is pretentious, and my grandma always said an ounce of pretension is like having a pound of manure.
I think that's about accurate. But speaking of an ounce of pretension, and back to the doddering idiot that is masquerading.
If anybody has to carry 4 copies of their britches during whatever trip they do during the day, because they're probably going to defecate in them, then they're too old to be the president.
Well, but even that aside, it's not so much a matter of whether you're incontinent or not. It's a matter of whether you're competent or incompetent. And that man was incompetent when he was young enough to remember his own name.
Oh, you mean back when him and Woodrow Wilson had lunch and Woodrow Wilson endorsed him?
Oh yeah, right before he went to release Nelson Mandela from, and was busy. I don't remember what he did.
Back when his daddy and him was walking down the street of Scranton,
corn pop,
and saw 2 men kissing. And his daddy in the 40s or 30s or the 20s or the alt teens or whatever it was. And his daddy looked at him and said, "Joey, love is love."
Well, I'm surprised that he hasn't popped up and told everybody that he was the defense attorney for Jesus. So, I don't know. The man's just.
Well, come to think about it, Jesus was crucified. He probably did have a Democrat as his defense attorney.
More likely than not. But the thing that astounds me is why people will continue, especially these people that get hung up on like abortion rights and crap like that, why they continue to vote for the same people that have been feeding them the same line of horse crap for the past 40 years. And nothing has changed. And they always point the finger across the aisle and say, "Oh, it's those evil Republicans." Even when they held the majority in the House and in the Senate and had the presidency, they still blame the Republicans.
I saw.
Go ahead.
I saw an interesting video the other day. I think it was yesterday. My man's running as independent.
Right. Absolutely.
And because I'm independent.
And unprotected, I might add, but go ahead.
Oh no, I use protection. Have you seen my wife? Well, I wouldn't.
No. I'm talking about your running candidate. I'm talking about Mr. Kennedy is.
I know. Well, I told him. I sent him an email. Told me if they need me to mobilize the replica Batmobile in my Batmobile arsenal, I'll protect him.
Well, there you go.
I'll swoop in and save him. But anyway.
Well, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be insulting. You go ahead, big guy.
All right. But anyway, I watched this video, and he was being interviewed by somebody, and I didn't recognize where it comes. And I don't. It wasn't the whole interview. I just saw basically a clip of it, and they're talking about him not having protection and his uncle being assassinated and his dad being assassinated. And, you know, I knew, we have talked about before how I don't think Sirhan killed Robert Kennedy.
Okay.
And,
well, I don't know that I doubt that he killed him.
well, I think you
but
may,
he was
after
not
you hear this.
operating. He was not operating. He was neither he nor Oswald nor any, the rest of the actual successful assassins were operating on their own.
Well, I think
But
you
go ahead.
might after this.
Okay, hit me. I'm listening.
Robert Kennedy Jr.
Mhm.
was asked the question about his father's assassination.
Right.
And he said, we know that Sirhan fired 2 shots in front of his dad in the Kitchen Hotel, which he was not supposed to have been in the first place. Not only Sirhan, but Robert Kennedy was not supposed to be going through the kitchen. That was a last-minute thing. 2 of the shots missed Kennedy, hit people in his party. They grabbed Sirhan, pinned him against a table. Sirhan fired more shots. His gun was emptied. He was in front of Kennedy. And we know that the bullets that was in his gun was emptied, and none of them struck RFK because they were accounted for in striking other people. The wounds, he said, that killed his father were from behind him. He was shot once in the arm, and it was a superficial wound. He was shot twice in the back, and it lodged near the spine. And he was shot once in the back of the head, just below the right ear. He said what's telling about that is the angle of the shots, and that each one of them left a powder tattoo on the skin because the gun was right up next to him.
That close to him. Yeah.
And he said and what he said, he mentioned a name, and I did not write it down because I was doing a lot of other stuff at the time. But he even named the guy that was the only one that was in the position with his father that night to be able to do that. And that guy was hired 2 days before and was not part of Robert Kennedy's security team.
Well,
I'll send you the video. I'll put a link up in the little words description thing of the podcast so everybody else can see it too.
All right.
I found that really interesting because, that's one of the things I've always wondered, that is like, how does somebody, when they're standing in front of somebody, shoot somebody in the back of the head?
Right. It's not possible. That's sort of like, Vince Foster committing suicide by shooting himself in the back of the head, not once, but twice.
That sounds like a Clinton. Oh, a moment. Did I say that out loud? I am sorry.
Yeah,
I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is it's so funny to me that people turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to all of that stuff. Now they'll read a history book about the Borgias or the Plantagenets and the War of the Roses.
Well, you know why that is, though, don't you?
What's that? Hit me.
They read it because of the sex. Them Borgias was humping everything that wasn't glued down.
Well, I mean, that's true of the upper crust elite class, and has been since time immemorial. They're some of the most depraved human beings on the planet, typically.
And most of them are in the Catholic Church.
Well, and I prefer to call them elitists because there ain't anything elite about them, except the fact that they're more willing than the usual person to resort to to pure evil to achieve their goals.
This is a weird night.
Tell me about it.
We ain't got no wrestling news to share.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry to hear that. that is heart wrenching right there. But
What do you think
nothing
about the
is.
bipartisan support that on the whatever committee it was, they voted 50-0 to ban TikTok?
Well,
Unless ByteDance sells it off to an American company.
I don't. Again, I'm not. Okay, so I'm not a huge TikTok person. I
Right.
mean,
Well,
I see some TikTok. I know you're more into the tickle talks and whatnot.
hey,
I'm not a
I
huge
like
social media
watching them
person.
dogs talk. I don't care if it's on TikTok, Instagram, click clock, patty whack, give the dog a bone. I don't care.
Well, but I don't understand what is so revolutionary about TikTok.
Well, I mean,
Because,
I
I mean,
thought we
again,
already had it before. I mean, there's
well,
been
yeah.
several versions of that.
Well, the only thing that does concern
I think
me
it's the
is
logarithm of how they
how they pick
present
their.
it to you or how
Oh,
they
okay.
pick what you want because they are usually pretty good. Like on my For You page,
Uh-huh.
they are usually really good about posting or recommending videos that I would like because the only things I really like is the funny stuff or like
Hmm.
dog or something about animals or something like that. So, I mean,
Hmm.
it's just you pop in, there's a minute, 2 minute, 3 minute videos, and you pop out.
Well, but so again, I mean, you already had the the video stories on Facebook and you or Instagram and YouTube and all that nonsense. And
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, but the thing that concerns me about it, and actually concerns me about social media at in its entirety, is the whole thing about subliminal advertising, which on the airwaves, and I've got to check and see if this is still valid or not, but in the early days of television, they experimented with that stuff a little bit and found it to be, because of the hypnotic frame rate
Mm-hmm.
on the television, that it was that people become extremely susceptible, and that's one of the reasons that television advertising is as effective and as high dollar as it is. But it was outlawed to do it subliminally, so you can't flash up advertisements, or you're not supposed to anyway, that are too short to be perceived
Mm-hmm.
consciously. Your brain will pick up those subliminal flashes,
Mm-hmm.
but you won't be aware of it. But that's illegal at least on television broadcasts. But I don't know that there is a corresponding law for streaming
Well, I
media.
would say probably not because most of our laws are so far behind
Antiquated. Yeah.
to the times that they don't take into account or consideration newer technologies.
Well, that's because we've had the same bunch of idiots in charge of the country for 40 years, and they were idiots when they became leaders,
Well, we had an
and they hadn't gotten any
interesting.
better.
Well, we had, I guess, Super Tuesday, North Carolina had a primary.
Yep, yep, yep.
We had an interesting scenario happen.
What was the scenario, my
Well,
friend?
we had this kid who ran. He's a junior in college.
Hmm.
I don't even know what party he ran on.
All right.
I'm going to assume he's a Republican just by the scenario and how it happened.
All
But
right.
he didn't want to get vaccinated. And stuff, and he
Hmm.
didn't. And
Hmm.
he had written to his congressman, which
Hmm.
is in the district that he ran in. And a guy
Hmm.
this particular congressman has been in the House for years
Hmm.
and never responded to him, never acknowledged him or nothing. So this guy takes the initiative, does the research, puts in the work,
Hmm.
runs, and
Hmm.
has now defeated said congressman that never responded to him and is
Oh,
now on the
outstanding.
ticket for whatever party he's affiliated with to run for the House in November.
Oh, outstanding.
He's 21 years old, I believe, junior in college.
Well, I'm astounded that a 21-year-old has the initiative these days to do anything, but good
Well, I
for
mean,
him.
that's what I said. I mean, if we only had more.
Yeah, we need a lot more, and we're going to have it in a hurry. Well, so that's one of the things that I ran across that had never occurred to me about this whole illegal alien
Hmm.
mess. And that is that, okay, so, of course, their goal is to give them all citizenship because they're all enamored with
The sucking
with
off the
all the free
government tit.
stuff. Yeah. And so it's a huge voting base if they can get them to do that. But
Hmm.
in spite of the fact that that is going to take a little while for them to get ramrodded through without causing widespread revolt, I think.
I don't know if it's
The
going to. I'm going to be honest with you. I think there's enough people on both sides of the aisle that is so fed up with this. I don't think it can get ramrodded through.
Well, but it they're ramrodding it through anyway. You know about the what was it 3,000 was it 3,000 or 30,000
The secret ones
illegals?
that were flown in,
Yeah, that were flown in.
325,000.
Good gracious, I was hoping that I was wrong when I was thinking 300,000. But yeah, I mean, again, they even though it is not being, yeah, they're doing it illegally,
Oh,
is
yeah.
the point. But the point of the matter is that in addition to the whole thing, if of them being able to cast votes, and of course them being able to put their signature on mail-in ballots that don't have signature
Hmm.
verification and all that happy horse crap. The census does not count citizens versus non-citizens. The census just counts the bodies. And so the sanctuary cities are going to get additional senators and additional House seats because they got all of this extra population that is illegal. And again, we kind of we're basically at the point where where Congress and well the entire government, as far as the benefit of the citizenry, has been asleep at the wheel again for the past 40 years. They've been going towards their own benefit and towards the special interest groups great guns, but they've been asleep at the wheel as far as actually managing the country in any kind of a reasonable or intelligent fashion for
Hmm.
more than 40 years now. So I mean, we are well past due for going through the whole thing from top to bottom and kind of going back to the original structure of the Constitution, because these people have no business becoming ridiculously wealthy from being in office and pandering and influence peddling, which is what it's all become. But anyway, I don't want to spend too much time rattling on about all of that, but the again, the whole thing that astounds me
Hmm.
is the number of people that will continue to cast their ballot for the same people that have been lying to them and stiffing them and screwing them over for
Well,
years.
isn't that the definition of insanity?
It absolutely is.
All right.
And they'll
Now,
still
listen, I
stand there
got a
and
quote
argue about the
for you.
same
I
crap.
got a
Go
quote
ahead,
for you.
hit me.
We shall
Mhm.
fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight on the beaches.
Hmm.
We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall never surrender. Who said it?
Well, that was Winston Churchill.
Very good. And guess what?
Would.
The teeth he used to give most of those historic speeches
Oh,
are
good
on
heavens.
sale.
I wonder if we. So what was that? There.
They
It
are
was.
gold mounted dentures.
It was a. What was his name of that show? Friday the 13th, where they had all the cursed
Oh,
objects.
yeah, yeah. I
So
remember
I
that.
wonder.
Friday the
Uh,
13th, the series.
yeah. So I wonder if you bought those teeth and slapped them in Joe Biden's head, if he'd suddenly start speaking and making sense.
So, probably not.
Probably not. It was worth a try. I'd
Hey,
like to just see somebody slap him
they
in his
say
mouth.
it's roughly going to be bring about $10,000. Do you think I should put in a bid?
Oh, absolutely. Of all the things that I think you need to own, Winston Churchill's dentures are definitely at the top of that list.
Well, I've never. I own some historical stuff already.
You have any historical teeth?
Well, I got some in my head that are over 50 years
All right. Well, that's close enough, I reckon.
old.
But
But
well, now, so
I own
go ahead.
historical land. They ain't gonna make no more of it.
That's true. That is true. All land is historical. Yeah. Well, anyhow,
But
so
that brings me to an interesting quote, though. There's a
okay. Okay. Go
one of
ahead, boss.
the guy his dental technician, the guy who ever made it, who got him. Churchill evidently had a lot of problems with his mouth and his teeth. I really hadn't paid any attention to that, but that's not something they really put into
A biography, but go
right.
ahead.
But anyway, they said
They're not going to show that after,
right.
to keep you held over for the commercial break on the History Channel.
Is he going to keep them in, or is he going to take them out? But he said the guy who is selling them said his father said told him he could always tell how angry Winston was by how far he threw them when he took them out of his mouth.
All righty then. We are going down the rabbit hole fast tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
And I'm telling you, it's that Paul Roger and that three-peckered billy goat, and we ain't even getting paid to support none of them.
Well, I hear you. So, but
what were we talking about anyway?
God, if there is anybody that is paying any attention and could tell us, I'm afraid they probably have already hung up.
Have we even had to use the General Lee yet?
I couldn't tell you. I don't think so, but I couldn't tell you.
Well, we may have when I was giving my in-depth commentary on the State of the Union.
Well, and it's entirely fine. I'm not sure if you can say three-peckered billy goat or not.
Well, it's a brand name. Sure. I mean, all you got to do
understand.
It's on Amazon.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean much.
All right, I got a question. This is a serious question.
All right, and I have a serious answer. I hope it may.
Well, I hope you do, because I don't understand. This man is convicted of bad things. Okay?
Okay.
They sentence him to death.
Uh-huh.
They take him, they get him, it's his death day, they take him to the death chamber.
Mm-hmm.
They inject him.
Mm-hmm.
He don't die.
Well, that's just uncooperative. But go ahead.
But does that mean, since technically they tried to kill him, that's a one shot, now if they try to kill him again, that's double jeopardy?
I don't think it works that way. I think if his heart stopped and he was pronounced dead. So the reason let me give you the background. So again, back with old Sparky, okay, when they used to use the electric chair, they would zap them, and then a doctor would check their pulse to make sure that they were dead. If they weren't dead, they would zap them again. And they would just, they kept running that play till they got it right. So I think, based on that logic, that you would have to have a pronunciation of death. Now, if he were pronounced dead, and then a couple of days or hours or whatever later sparked back to life, then I think you might have a quandary. But I think that if you owe a death to the state, that the state is allowed to collect that death no matter what. I think. Now, I am not a lawyer, and I did not, we're not paid for them either, but I didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn Express either, so I don't know for nothing.
No, but I did eat pizza at a Sir Pizza.
Hot dog.
What do you think of that whale that's been missing for 200 years finally showed the hell back up?
Well, that's a hell of a bender. It's just one whale.
But the gray whale, evidently, according to some people,
What's that? The hide and seek champion.
That's right. He's been hiding. He's like Loch Ness Monster. He's just been hiding.
That's it.
But evidently, the gray whale has not really been in the. At one time, was a staple in the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and
yeah.
Had been missing has not been seen in the Atlantic for 200 years, and now recently they have spotted one off of Cape Cod. So maybe there's hope. And that brings back up what you had mentioned to me about them trying to reanimate or recreate or clone a woolly mammoth.
A woolly mammoth, yeah. Now, I mean, again, I'm not what I've got a problem with that is why. Okay,
Well,
you've got a situation. Well, it's sort of like the whole Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I was going to say it didn't work out real good for them.
Well, that's it. And again, that was the comment that was made: is you've got a species that was selected naturally for extinction. Why would you want to bring it back?
Well, my thing is we don't know if a woolly mammoth was just like a hairy elephant that was like real friendly, or if he was like a skinwalker that changed shapes and then had 3 mouths with like razor sharp teeth, and then he would bite, pick, and scratch.
Yeah, well, again, that's one of those things that, as I understand what the archaeologists tell us, the assumption is that early man hunted them to extinction, so they apparently might have been pretty tasty. But I don't know. Again, we meddle in so many things that, I mean, and we don't do it for the benefit of the environment. We do it for the benefit of a very small number of people who already have way too many of the Earth's resources locked up in their own coffers.
Well, I mean, just think, okay, so we're going to bring back this woolly mammoth.
Yep.
How much money is it going to cost to bring back the woolly mammoth?
Right, and why, and who is paying for that? Because again, that's one of the problems.
Why can't we take that money in and try to conserve species that are here now that we know that we like?
Or just even go so far as to build overpasses or underpasses over state highways, roads, and interstates, so that the deer and the wildlife can cross without getting run over and causing accidents.
Well, they actually have done that in the Everglades.
In a couple of places, that's correct. But the thing of the matter is, again, we've got this. Well, and I'll tell you something else that I want to know. I want to know when we're going to have, when and who is going to bring the lawsuit against these people that are using tax dollars as their own personal piggy bank to bring frivolous lawsuits. Because I think they need to be prosecuted and they need to pay enough of a penalty. I got
an interesting scenario for you.
All right.
I watched a show somewhere. I don't remember where it was. I somehow I get dropped into the middle of things, and then it gets me thinking.
I'm sorry.
So I have figured up roughly how much money I have paid into Social Security.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I have taken my retirement age and how much the Social Security administrations tell me I'm on draw, and then pay taxes on it again after I done paid tax on it one time.
And you ain't going to get anywhere near. But go
ahead. I would have to live to be 343 years old to break even.
Well, and you're off to a good start.
Well, no, here's my scenario then. When is it that I have been done, or the rest of us have been done, irreparable harm by the wanton disregard for their duty in maintaining Social Security by the government? And why can't we just get a civil suit against them rascals and just sue the shit out of them?
Well, and again, to that point, one of the other things that we need to look at is
I have been irreparably harmed.
Yes, we have.
And if I had that money back, I could have Winston Churchill's teeth, and then I would have something special.
Well, but again, here's the other part of that problem. Even if you did have Winston Churchill's teeth, and even if they were demonic and caused you to speak in, in stirring speeches, um, the thing of the matter is political speech. That whole concept has got to go because you should, just because you're a politician and can declare something political speech does not mean that you should be allowed to lie with impunity. That's got to go. Politicians need to be held responsible by
Actually,
some
politicians
means
probably should
other.
have be held to a higher, and they used to be held to a
Well,
higher standard than what they are now.
Well, no, they absolutely used to be held to a higher standard than they are now. But again, the whole thing is that they should not be allowed to lie with impunity. And we should not have to endure that. But people look at it and go, oh, well, that's just politics. Okay. Oh, you have to say a lot of things about people when you're running for office. Well, no,
You
you
ain't got to
should say
say
the
nothing.
truth. You should speak the
There is
truth.
no reason why when you're running. Okay, let's. Okay, we're gonna go there. I was not
All
going to
right.
do this, but we're gonna do it anyway.
All right. What are we doing?
All right. I read the speech that was supposed to come out of the bumbling buffoon's mouth. I actually read it,
Oh,
the
I'm so
printed
sorry.
version. I wasn't going to listen to it, but at the beginning of the speech,
Mhm.
when this jackass has the nerve and the temerity to equate himself with FDR
Oh, yeah.
coming to the Congress and to wake up the Congress and the American people about Hitler and the Nazi peril, and you are comparing 100 million Americans to Nazis,
Hmm.
the man is not fit for office. And I'm going to tell you one thing. If I ever saw him out and he asked me to go behind the woodshed, I'd beat the hell out of that.
Well, I mean, the man he's not competent. He never was competent. And I do not believe that he actually won the election. I do not believe it. I do not believe it. I believe that dadgum thing was rigged. And there's no way, it just makes no sense that the most despised Democratic candidate that was on the debate stage and who who
And the
was
one who said he didn't want his children growing up in a racial jungle.
exactly. And there is no way he garnered, it makes no sense that he could possibly have garnered more votes than anyone else in the
In
history of the
history.
United States.
There
That's
ain't
just
no way.
absurd.
There
That
ain't
is absurd.
no way.
Hmm.
Well, I mean,
Well, and
what
his
at what
running
point
mate,
now? What do you do at this point? Because I still honestly don't believe Barack Obama was born in the United States.
well, and again,
And,
at
and
this point,
actually, in his book, he says he was born in Kenya.
oh, yeah. Now, but again, to take that even a step further, that individual that you're speaking about was a senator out of Chicago. Now,
And
does
we're all
Chicago
aware of Chicago's reputation in politics.
exactly in their reputation in politics is not is that is the most corrupt political system on the planet. Okay, and that's saying something. Now, how in the world could he have come out of that and be as lily white as some people claim him to be? But even with all of that aside, put all of that behind us. I don't care. That's in the past. We cannot undo it.
Right.
We
There's
have to
nothing
go
you can.
through.
Right, and it's
Yeah,
even if the 2020 election was stolen, there's no way you can go back and fix it at this point.
right.
What do?
So
You invalidate everything that he's done?
let's just move forward and try as a nation to have at least a half a lick of
Well,
sense.
I still
And
stand by the fact I don't consider myself an American. I am a North Carolinian.
I understand.
As far as I'm concerned, the State of the Union and most State of the Unions, most of the time when you have that speech, they say our union is strong.
Mhm.
Our union is not strong.
No, it is not. By any
Our
stretch of the
union
imagination.
is in extreme peril and disarray.
Well,
Matter of
yeah, we
fact, the
actually,
American flag should be flying upside
I
down at
was
this point.
I was going to say that very same thing. Everybody should be flying their flag upside down at this point because the United States is in peril and has been in peril for quite some time and continues to be. But
Yeah, let him, Mr. Biden, come down here. I'll share a ham, egg, and cheese biscuit with you. But if you get mouthy and invite me to go out behind the woodshed, you're going to tote the ass whooping. I can tell you that right now.
there's a whole bunch of them up there that need a good butt whooping.
But see,
But
that's what really gets me is a lot, and that's what, like these newer generations. That's part of their problem, is because they've had these safe spaces and this stuff like this.
oh yeah,
When we were coming up, you had to
yeah.
if you were going to say something, you had to say it to your face, and you had to bring your butt with you, and you had to have the opportunity to either beat their ass or they going to beat your ass.
Well, and that's the thing. And again, a lot of that stuff happened and got sorted on the schoolyard when you were in grammar school before
Right.
you were old enough or big enough to really do a whole heck of a lot of damage.
Right.
I mean, it's one of my favorite movies is Hacksaw Ridge. No, is that the one
That's
that I'm
Clint
thinking of?
Eastwood.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. The one with Andrew Garfield. No, where he is talking about the medic that wouldn't that was a conscientious objector.
Oh, I think it's Heartbreak something.
No, Heartbreak Ridge. Well, regardless, we the whole point being, and now I've completely lost track of my point, because I'm trying to remember what it was. What were we talking about, my friend? I had such a good point, and then I got lost trying to remember the title of the movie. Oh, goodness. I do not recall what my point was. You're going to have to bail me out, sir. Did I lose you?
You didn't lose me. I can't be lost.
Well, my goodness. Well, you went
I was
quiet there for quite a bit.
well.
But go
My
ahead.
Paul Roger went down the wrong hole, and I didn't think that
Oh,
everybody
my
wanted to hear
goodness.
me coughing it back up. The movie's Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge. Okay. Well, we're going to have to edit about 20 minutes of me running my mouth out off of that. But
Well, don't worry. We'll fire the General Lee up and burn some fossil fuels.
well, there you go. But I can't remember what in the world I was going to say before I got sidetracked and you
Oh,
got to
you got
having a
that
coughing
Biden
fit.
disease, huh?
God, don't even accuse me of that. Gee, birds. Let's move on to something else. So we got the elephant, we got the heffalump. Oh, you know what though?
What?
This is a red letter day
Uh-oh.
because they did decide that the one of these DEI outfits
Mm-hmm.
that came up in the 60s, the small business, it's a small minority small business
Yeah.
authority or something like that,
Right.
that they are not allowed to discriminate against white people.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I'm going to
you're not able
dovetail.
to
Well, I'm going to
discriminate.
dovetail in on that,
Yeah.
and that's campus that you and I hold so dear, that we hold in common.
Yes.
Fired every DI position they had on staff and got rid of
Oh,
every
that's
dad
excellent.
blame one of them.
Well, now, and to talk about other stuff in the grand state of Florida, did you hear the bit? And I don't know if this is accurate or not, but I thought it was absolutely fascinating. When Disney, when DeSantis was removing, Disney Corporation's tax exempt status, do you
Mm-hmm.
know how they fought back against it?
No, how?
According to something I ran across, and I have not done the research to find out if it's accurate or not, their response was that they did not answer to the United States of America. They are apparently owned by the Crown.
Okay,
And so
that's interesting.
I thought, I don't know if it's accurate or not, but there was a
Well,
fellow
the last
on,
time I checked,
yes,
the Crown got kicked out like a long time ago.
Well, they supposedly did, but it's kind of hard to tell from time to time because we
They
certainly
must
don't
have
have
wrote-
anybody in charge.
They must have
around
wrote
here.
that very well worded and well crafted letter back to King Charles and asked permission to come back to the UK.
I don't think they'd have us.
No, I'm talking about Disney.
Well, but yeah, I mean, apparently they do. Apparently, that according to what I read, they are owned by the Crown.
Well, I will
find
say
that
this.
fascinating.
Speaking of Disney, I used to love, there was a small batch coffee roasting company out of Fort Myers, Florida.
Okay.
Their coffee is amazing. Their coffee is still amazing.
Okay.
But because they have partnered with Disney, and I know it's great business for them, and I don't fault them one bit, but I am not going to support anything that puts money in Disney's pocket. So I have quit buying their coffee altogether.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, that's kind
And
of.
I really hate that because their coffee, one of their coffees is a seasonal coffee that comes out in the summer, is one of my favorite coffees of all time. Spiced butter rum. What is not to like?
Oh, no kidding. That sounds magnificent.
It is.
But, again, the thing.
Hey, it ain't
and
the
I wanna-
three-peckered billy goat, but it's pretty damn blame good.
Well, and again, here's the thing. I am sick to death of being in a world where the federal government gets to decide who wins and who loses and who I have to use to spend my money to get the services that I want. I'm sick of that. And especially since they're using my tax dollars to do so and your
Most
tax
definitely.
dollars. We just need to get this. We just need to come back to some semblance of sanity. And, I mean, nothing would please me more than to get back to the point where we were talking, where the most important thing going on would be whether or not we had legislation to protect the
Well,
right
I
to
want to get back
abortion.
to the point where my most important decision of the day is whether I'm going to put the easy bake oven on 5 and have toast, or put the easy bake oven on 7 and have really dark toast.
You can put mine on pretty much whatever you want to, and it's going to come out wherever it wants to.
Well, that's usually the way it is. But that's it. That's the bottom line. Joe Biden, Donald
He's an
Trump,
idiot.
whichever one of them y'all want to. If y'all want to step behind the woodshed, come on. I came here to drink Paul Roger and three-peckered Billy Goat coffee and kick ass, and I'm out of Paul Roger and coffee.
Oh my goodness.
And that is the snout to the curly tail and everything in between, and we gone.
Have a good one.
All right, you crazy bunch of motherfuckers. Wait, can we say mother? Anyway, you've been listening to the Carolina Underground. It isn't politically correct, it's just correct. Our motto is, if you can't go balls deep, don't go at all. Actually, that's not our motto, and I'm sorry, I don't even know what that meant. All right, we gotta go. We hope you enjoyed the show. And if you didn't, we hope it really pissed you off. Follow us on Twitter at Carolina UNDGRND. Underground, get it? Or drop us an email at Carolina UNDGRND. Get it? At northstate.net. We want to hear from you. Y'all be cool. See you next time on Carolina Underground.